Hey everyone, welcome back to the Buzzed Banter podcast. This week, there's no video, unfortunately, or fortunately for some of you, I don't know. But you don't get to see our beautiful faces, but you do get to hear our sultry voices. But this week's episode is essentially a recap of last week's episode. So Joe and I, we like to watch the episode back as soon as we're done recording, which might sound weird, but it gives me my first pass at seeing the episode in its entirety and, before editing. That way I can find bits and pieces that I might want to edit out or clean up or whatever the case may be. So I hope you enjoy. Have a great week and cheers.
Yeah, it like I feel like us watching the podcast back, which we do all the fucking time. That's
Yeah, because I want to see if I'm an idiot on there or if I'm cool.
yeah. I mean, I edit the podcast and I watch it, probably 100 times over every single time. But even after I edit the podcast, when I once it's released, I watch it
You have to.
because
Yeah.
for me, I guess you can say I'm a perfectionist. Like I edit it and I have this precise like vision in mind, but I always need to see the finished product.
Yeah, and I think, dude, that's what I'm attracted to with you. Like, you're a perfectionist, and the stuff that you do, like whether it's, I don't care if it's like, I mean, I see that whenever you even set up a studio. Like, you set up a studio, like it has to be perfect in your eyes. It may not be perfect in so and so's eyes, but in your eyes, it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
and and like, I don't understand completely like what your vision is, and when I see it, the first time, like whenever stuff is whatever, and I move stuff or I help you move stuff, and I'm like, okay, that might, to me, it might seem, hey, that's good, that looks good, it looks good to me, but you're like, no, something's missing, something could be moved, or something needs to be put somewhere. And I love that. I fucking love that, dude. Like, it's the same thing with me. Like if something, like I was telling you earlier, if it was with me, buddy Nate, we had him here for a long time. He left to Dallas, and I'm glad he's over there. But before he left, like, he took care of everything that we did whenever we did men's softball. And I know that's fucking probably gay to some people, but we did softball, and it was fun.
Yeah.
That's what dudes that played baseball before do, you know. And when we did it, I was like, oh fuck, like, now I'm gonna be in charge of, making sure that everyone shows up, making sure that we have enough to to play. But what was crazy is, like, the guys that I built the team around, they they appreciated the team that we had. They respected the fact that, hey, we've had this team for a while. Uh, let's show up for Joe. Let's we showed up for Nate. Let's show up for Joe. And then after that, it was kind of something that I actually enjoyed, because I would, in addition to making sure the team was whole and good and chemistry was good, it was also something else that I would enjoy doing, was like coming up, hey, do you guys want to know your average? Do you guys want to know how many base hits you get? Do you want to know how many home runs you get? I enjoyed those statistics, dude. Like, that was something that I love doing on the side that we never did in the past. And I don't know, like, it's something that I guess attracts me to also other people that enjoy, or not necessarily enjoy, but they like uh, catering to other people.
Yeah. 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 Like I even for tonight, like, you know, I set up everything, and, you know, I tested it with myself, and I made sure, because, like, for a second I was unsure that we were going to be able to see everybody that was on the podcast in a bigger screen, because, like, it's one thing to have it on a computer, and, like, the way I have it set up now, like, we would have to, like, look down, because I have my computer on the floor, which I'm doing the Zoom call through, and we would have to look down on the floor. And for me, being in like working in the production world, like, I think about eye lines, I think about lights, I think about camera. Like, my mind is like, if I wish somebody could, like, see my train of thought, because I'm thinking about so many different things at so many different times.
I see it, and it's fucking beautiful. And, like, it was. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, whenever you came back, like, I knew you were involved with a ton of, I would say, like, motion picture type editing, whatever you want to call it. But I never fully understood the entirety of what you actually do. And even like when I saw you the first time when we made the first podcast, and after we were done and I saw you editing and doing all that shit, dude, I was like, wow. And it made me kind of, like, a little sad at the same time. I'm like, I'm doing nothing. I'm just showing up, and I'm just here on the fucking side, and I'm not doing anything except for moving or putting screws into fucking the bottom of chairs. And I'm like, I don't understand what he's doing. I really don't. And it's magical, like, what you were doing. Like, and you were doing it so fast. I was like, this is what people do that are involved in, whether it's podcast, any type of production where it involves, you're going to be put on screen or, put on audio for people to hear. This is what's involved in it. And you made it look so easy. And I know it was funny because, like, a year ago, one of my best friends in Lubbock talked to me, and this was a drunk talk too. He's like, dude, we should start a podcast, and it's me, you, and our other buddy, and we should just fucking, start a podcast time. Be like, yeah, I'm down. Just let me know. Like, do I got to go to Lubbock? What do I got to do? He goes, I don't know, but we got to start it. I was like, yes, that would be great. But, like, how do we get it started, though? Like, it's one thing capturing our voices. It's another thing capturing our image. And it's another thing putting it to where it looks nice and it sounds nice.
Yeah.
To where other people can hear it. And then at the same time, can you market that?
Yeah.
And can you market that in a way where other people might enjoy and provide word of mouth? And that's, dude, when I saw you do that, I was like, wow. I felt like, I don't know, I felt like a little kid watching, like, somebody else, like, play a video game that I didn't even know how the fuck that it understood, like, and you did it so well. I was like, man, I gained a great level of respect for you right there.
I appreciate that. Like, there is a lot of work that's what people don't see is, like, you listen to podcasts, you watch movies, you watch TV, and, like, there's so much that goes into it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I learned in LA. And that's what my time in LA made me appreciate that. Because, like, I got to be adjacent to it, but also be a part of it. Mm-hmm. And, I didn't go to film school. I didn't go through, like, what some people might say the normal path of becoming a filmmaker. But, like, one of my best friends in LA, he gave me the best compliment.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that.
He gave me the best compliment that he was like, you are one of the only people that I've ever met that can learn something, no matter what it is. If you want to learn it, you will dedicate yourself to learning it. And at that time, I had just shot a short film. Like, it was my first short film that I directed. I had a part in. I wrote, and I edited it. And I taught myself how to edit. Like, I dedicated. I spent hours upon hours just like watching YouTube videos, taking every resource that I could. And that's my thing. It's like school wasn't really my thing. I was okay at school. Like, I could get by at school, but I was more of a hands-on learner.
Yeah.
And so, like, filmmaking, I went out to LA to become an actor, and it went well for a while. I ran into things that I just didn't really mesh with.
Jordan. What's that fucker's name?
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan. If I see you, guy, we're fighting, bro.
I was up against a role against Michael B. Jordan.
But he's a good dude.
Yeah. Great fucking actor. I could have been Creed.
You could have been Creed. God damn. With all the muscles, can you imagine? Dude.
No, like, I dedicated myself. Like, I think of myself back then. Like, I did everything that my agents, my managers.
Well, you remember when I went with you, even when you were living here, and
Yeah.
you went to auditions? Like, dude, I mean, you gave it your all.
Yeah,
like
I
it
did.
was. And then what people don't understand, like, some people do. Those people that audition you, they're not nice. they're very forward.
They're very brash.
They're very brash. They're very forward on what you're expected to do, and they're expecting you to do this. And then if you don't perform to what they're expecting, then they talk shit to you, and then, like, they think that's okay, like that's gonna help you. And maybe that does help some other people. I don't know, but like, when I took it, I wanted to talk shit to her whenever I heard her.
No, yeah, I remember that. That was the first big. You were there for the first big audition I was with. It was for Friday Night Live.
Yes, yeah. And I was like, this fucking bitch. Like, I expected somebody bigger. Shut up, bitch. Like, you don't even know.
That moment that you're talking about, she was not technically my manager at the time, but she was trying to be.
Mm-hmm.
She was. I found out later she was very shady.
Dude, she was a cunt.
Like, she was trying. She told me, when you move out to LA, you need to pay my rent. Like, I had to pay for her to live there, to manage me, and then also pay my own rent.
No.
Yeah. But after that audition, she called me up, and she was like, "Yeah, it's between you and one other guy."
Oh, fuck. It was that one Mexican dude that got it.
Yeah.
So-called Mexican dude. I don't know if he was really Mexican.
Yeah, he the part was a thug, like,
Little cholo guy.
And what's funny is, like, that was before I moved to LA, but that was kind of a premonition of what was to come in LA, because, like, I went out there and I was for a little while I was auditioning for some pretty big stuff.
The great thing about that, though, like, it's almost the equivalent of, jumping in an ocean, and I'm gonna swim towards this goal, and I mean, there's sharks in the water, but you don't care.
Yeah,
You're gonna still swim.
yeah, and that was my mindset. Like, even when I ran out of money,
That's a big. I never once told you. If anything fails, I'm here. If you need
I just farted. I don't know if you heard that.
if something happens, let me know. I wanted you to know that I'm always here. But at the same time, we almost, like, your sister and I both, lived in a little ways vicariously through what you were doing, because we were like happy of the freedom that you had. You know, you had a freedom that none of us had. You know, we had built roots. You know,
Mhm.
we did what we did, and we had a family or whatever. We should have waited, but we didn't, and we both regret that in a way. But back to, I don't want to go off of you, but you you did something that was so brave, and so like you had to have courage to do what you did. Not only just go, but just to fucking stay in that environment, because the environment that it people have to understand, like California now is not what California was
Yeah.
when you went out there. It was, I mean, granted, it's always been a little liberal,
Yeah.
but at
yeah.
the same time, it's not what it is now back then. And when you went out there, dude, I was I was betting on you, like this dude's gonna do something. He's going to, whether it's, if it's not in acting, he's gonna write, or if it's not in writing, he's gonna produce, or if he's not gonna produce, he's going to do something involved with something. Like, he's too creative not to do something, and you did do something. The only problem was other people weren't on the same page with you.
Yeah, yeah. I talked about this in the last
Yeah.
episode with TV Head. I feel like I got so close. Like I was on the precipice of quote unquote making it. I say quote unquote because like making it is different for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, you're
I,
right.
I'll backtrack and say I'm not making it, but breaking in, breaking, because like there's this threshold that you come up when you're out there. There's this threshold. It's like there are thousands of people out there pursuing acting. Like everybody out there is pursuing
Exactly.
something.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are up and coming actors, and like a lot of them are my friends, and like we're all going to the same acting classes. Like you're in these classes and you're around other people that are doing the same exact thing, and everywhere you turn, oh yeah, I'm an actor, I'm pursuing acting. You this and that and this and that.
I feel like everyone over there is like not from there. It's
No,
always,
yeah. That's the crazy thing is like out there, it's very rare to meet somebody from LA.
yeah.
It's very rare.
So it's
Like,
always people coming
I-
in.
One of my best friends, I went to his wedding in April. Like he's from there, and I met a few people from LA, and their biggest dream was to move out of LA.
Wow.
Because like it's such a weird thing because like I'm from here in just Amarillo's not the biggest city, but it's not the biggest city.
Small city. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a small city, and it's where the smaller towns where I was born migrate to. And I tell people like I didn't realize Amarillo was such a bubble until I moved out of Amarillo.
Yeah. Yeah. I the only thing I can compare Amarillo to is where I grew up with is Lubbock. And I mean, Lubbock's just 2 hours down the road, hour and a half if you drive over the speed limit, and like it's more congested in Lubbock, and the only reason why is just because of it's a college town. That's the
Yeah.
only reason why.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why. If it wasn't there, it'd probably be the same population of Amarillo. That's the only reason why Lubbock's population is higher. But even with that said, like, I thought Lubbock was just a small city until I moved here. And it's going to be, what's crazy, dude, is in 2 years, it's going to be 20 years removed from Lubbock.
Damn.
Yeah. And it makes me kind of sad because I've always pictured Lubbock as my hometown, but now it's going to come into I mean, you have to talk about like, well, where have you lived the most? And
Yeah.
it's going to be coming into Amarillo. I mean, in 2005, I was 24. So, yeah, not too far. It was 2030 maybe. I would have, if we still stay here, it'll be the place that I lived the most. And I don't mind Amarillo. Like, what's crazy about Amarillo is like I really don't mind it. In a way, it's a deep breath from Lubbock because Lubbock was very, very, for me, it was very like high octane, and I guess it was maybe because of how we were whenever I was growing up. Uh, it was very high octane, like partying um, and I was talking to you about it before. Like before, when I graduated from high school, I was very um, expressive. I would say that I was very expressive. I wasn't afraid to. Uh, I wasn't afraid to, you know, like show expression for whatever, and yeah, that's that was me. And as a result of that, like when I grew up, like I figured out that oh shit, like there is a group of people that hey, that's not cool. You can't go 100%. You can't go 3,000 or 7,000 or 8,000 RPM all the fucking time. You gotta calm down. So, and this was, I mean, I didn't understand drinking, and you know, I sometimes regret, and then sometimes I don't regret drinking alcohol. At an early age. 17, 18, or whatever, because there are some lessons learned. Anyways, the group that I hung out with, it wasn't they weren't about like expressing yourself completely. It was more of a like, hey, you know, you got to be cool. You take a drink, get drunk, whatever you want, but be cool. You got to contain yourself. You got to hold on to whatever feelings or whatever you wanted to talk about. Like you can't be doing that shit. And I got accustomed to that. So like there are sometimes now where like it's weird. It's like I've been trained to act a certain way when I'm drinking, or even when I'm not drinking. Like I'm thinking like, hey, I can't act the way I want to act because I got to be cool. But there are some times where like shit, I want to express myself completely and do some wild stuff, but at the same time I have this thing in my head that's saying, "Hey, wait, that ain't cool, bro. You can't do that." I mean, and at the same time, like you got to think like, well, shit, you're a dad too. Like, think of other people too. Like, you can't act like that. You can't do what exactly you want to do, and I understand that.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't have kids, and moving to LA, like it is, like I said, I didn't until I moved out of LA. I didn't realize that you know Amarillo was kind of a bubble, and I say that in a sense of I'm not saying Amarillo's bad. Amarillo is not a bad place.
Amarillo is not a bad
It's not
place.
a bad place. Like, Amarillo is an amazing place. Like, there's a lot that Amarillo has to offer. But the people here can, in some ways, be a one mindset.
Yeah. There's and it depends on what group, because there are. I mean, now it's what's crazy is like Amarillo is of mindset, but at the same time there are diverse people here. It I'll say this, like, whenever you think of a place to raise a family and, have kids in school and stuff, for me it's simple to say yes here, because I know the place, I know the areas. I mean, based on where we live, we are not high class. My family's not. I mean, based on the economy now, we're on the brinks of middle class, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
we're almost low class.
I'm definitely, if you take my economy into it, I'm lower class.
Yeah, and what's crazy is, like, I mean, I don't make crazy amount of money. I make decent amount of money.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say what I make, but I make a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
And San, I wish she made more money for what she does, because she does deserve more. But what she went in for didn't pay a lot, and she's stuck at that fucking salary, and she deserves fucking way more for what she does. Anyways, when it comes to, like, just schools and area and stuff, like there's no better place that I can think of besides a little small ass town. Which
Yeah.
I don't know what that's like. I would love to learn what that's like, but I don't know what that's like than Amarillo or
Yeah.
Lubbock, even, for that matter. I mean, because when I grew up, like, it was like, and I guess it goes into, I guess it really doesn't matter for kids. It goes more into social media nowadays, because, like, now, if you think in terms of a circle, right? If you remember when you were little, right? The circle that you were concerned with was more whatever affected your family, whatever affected you.
Yeah.
Hell, when you were small, it was literally what affected you. As you grew older, it was like, okay, well, what's affecting my friends? What's affecting my family? As you got older, what's in my school? What's in my town? As you got older, okay, what's in my state? And at the most, that was literally what you were concerned with.
Yeah.
Things that were going to affect you. And that was it. If somebody picked on you, it was somebody physically picking on you. If somebody talked shit about you, it was somebody that you knew. It was not somebody you didn't know.
Yeah.
If it was somebody from a different school, you would at least have the ability to go there and confront them, right? Nowadays, it's not like that. Our kids' circle, dude, it's worldwide.
Yeah. The internet has connected to everybody.
And it's a great thing, and it's also a bad thing,
Yeah.
because think of it, man. Like, you have a kid. If I'm a kid right now, I'm gonna say, and I don't know how my daughter's done it. I mean, and I've talked to her about it, and she's being a smart ass sometimes. But, like, my daughter's 17. Being a 17-year-old in high school, senior year, you have this app on your phone, TikTok, right? So you have your feed. So you have these beautiful people come on your feed, depending on what you are, what you're liking or what you're looking at. Say it's a beautiful person.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to compare yourself to that person.
Yeah.
We never did that. That's one scenario.
Well, we did that only when we went to the movies,
Exactly, yeah.
or we watched TV. It wasn't an everyday, like every second.
It wasn't thrown in your face
Yeah,
every
yeah,
day.
yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, that's when movie stars were movie stars.
Exactly.
Because like they were only in the movies. You didn't see them anywhere else.
And if we saw like, because Victoria's Secret, I mean, it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
Or Sports Illustrated,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
the bikini edition or whatever. Like when we saw that, we were like, whoa, like that's nice. And
Yeah.
and girls would be like, wow, okay, that's what I have to look like, whatever. That was, I guess at that time, today's version of when you see TikToks and you see beautiful women display their makeup or their
Yeah.
bodies or whatever to show, I guess, maybe a goal of what you want to
Yeah,
look like or
yeah.
whatever. So, I mean, I understand that. But what I don't get is like, if you're a teenager, especially a girl, and you're, you constantly see all these people, granted, using a filter on top of that, making themselves look a certain way, it's not fair. And then
No,
you're
it's
comparing
not.
yourself to that, and it's making yourself depressed. Like, you have no reason to be depressed because of that. Like, that's my whole, I guess, what do you call it? Like, that's my thing against social media in a way.
Yeah.
Like, I love what it does. It does connect people. But I hate what it does to, like, young kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it does make them feel inadequate. It makes them feel that they're not as good looking or
yeah.
whatever. Even if it's like, even if it's something simple, like, I guess the worst part is just the looking part. I hate that.
Yeah, yeah. It sets a standard that, I mean, unless you have a lot of money,
Exactly.
you can't emulate. And that's what I appreciate about, I talk about Always Sunny all the time, but Rob McElhenney, he, for one of the seasons, like, he got really fat, but then one of the seasons he got fucking ripped as shit.
That's our next year, bro.
And he talked about like fans would like message him and they would say like how do I do this, like that's fucking amazing, that's how can I do that? And he was straightforward with them, and he was like, look man, like the studio paid for a personal trainer, like they paid for all this shit for me to do, and it's not obtainable for really a lot of the everyday persons, and so don't try and like do that, because it costs a lot of money, and it's a lot of work, and of course like everything that is hard to get is gonna be a lot of work, obviously,
Right.
but he had a lot behind him to help him achieve that goal. Like he like their shows on FX, like the studio helped him achieve that goal.
Yeah.
Like he had a thought in mind as a creator, as a creative, and like he's an executive producer of Always Sunny. So like, yeah, they're like, okay, you want to do this? We'll help you. Not everybody, like you and I don't have that. We don't have that. The studio that has millions
have
of
the
dollars
resources.
that will pay for a personal trainer or a nutritionist to come and cook your meals every single day.
Right.
Like that's some of the disconnect that everyday people, like working day people, don't see, is like these people have a lot of times, some of the A-list celebrities have these nutritionists. They wake up, they have somebody cooking a healthy meal for them every single morning, every single lunch, every single dinner.
Exactly.
They have somebody cooking a meal for them, so they're not having to cook like that. Me and you, we have to cook for ourselves.
Exactly.
And we have to work a 9-to-5 job.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the time to spend, because he was spending like 3-4 hours in the gym. When I was living in LA, like I was working a part-time job, and for a while I was spending at least 4 hours in the gym. or working out. Like I was killing myself to make myself, because my managers and agents told me you need to look good.
Yeah.
And so I did everything. Like no lie, I did everything to a T that they wanted me to.
Just so you know, you didn't achieve that goal.
I didn't.
You look horrible.
Well, I didn't look horrible. Like there was a point in my life where I look back and I'm like, damn.
I'm just playing. You look really damn good.
But I did absolutely everything that everybody asked me. Like
I remember that picture you have in the suit.
yeah,
Dude, you were gorgeous, bro.
I look back at that picture and I kind of don't recognize myself.
I would. I mean,
like I know I can be that person. I want to be that person again.
no, you can't be that person again.
I know I can. I know I can. Like physically, I can't.
You can be better than that guy.
But just the mindset. What kind of turned me off from the acting whole, like pursuing it, because like I still love acting. Acting is it's my passion. Like I feel like not just because I think I'm good at it, but you got
a creative mind.
I got recognition from other like I there's this quote I heard from somewhere. It's like when you think you're good, you tell people about it, but when you're great, people tell you about it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was acting, people would tell me, like, I would do a scene in like class, or I would go to audition and like I would do a scene, and sometimes I might not have thought it was that good, but then people would come to me and was like, "Oh my God, that was so amazing." And I until I heard that quote, it was like I still don't consider myself a great actor. Obviously, if I was a great actor, then I would probably be famous and bullshit or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like I'm a good enough actor to be. I don't want to be famous. I don't want everything that comes with fame. I don't. Like I want to be able to express my creativity in a movie or something, and if somebody feels something from that, because that's how I got my start. Like I watched movies, I watched TV shows, and I saw these performances, and that's what drew me to acting. Mm-hmm. Is like I saw these people, and at the time whenever I first decided I wanted to be an actor, it was because I didn't like who I was, and I just wanted to be somebody else. Mm. And as an actor, I got to be anybody that I wanted to be. And so, oh,
goodness,
hiccup.
Hello.
That was, wow. These hiccups came out of nowhere. Jeez. You're okay.
Okay, and they're so close together too. That's crazy. Nope.
Another one.
Let's do something that maybe might help, because this is something I learned after a while.
All right.
It helps me.
All right.
So I'm putting my penis in front of your mouth.
No, it's his hand.
It's my mouth.
It's his hand.
My hand. Okay. Hiccup in my mouth. In my hand. Do it now. Come on. 1, 2, 3. Hiccup. 1, 2, 3. Hiccup. Come on.
Nope, there was. I just
Really?
hiccup. Yep.
Fuck. It didn't work. Usually that works.
But no, to get back to what I was saying, I did everything that everybody told me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I worked out. I was working out 4 hours a day, at the very least. You saw me. I was skinny as shit.
Yeah, you were trim.
I was skinny as shit. I'm 6'2", and I was about
Like, what, 168?
168, 165.
Mm-hmm.
For a 6'2" guy, that's pretty
Very
fucking skinny.
slim.
Only time I've ever seen a six pack on my body. But I was also, my agent's manager was like, go shoot a headshot with this guy, which that guy was not cheap, and I somehow made it work. And like that's the thing about me is like, after going through therapy, my therapist is like, you're a scrappy guy. Like anything that you need to get done, you will get done. And I've learned that about myself is like, yeah, I will, anything that I need to do, no matter what it takes, I will fucking do it. If it hurts, if it, whatever it takes, I will fucking do it. So I did everything that everybody wanted me to do. And then, after some experiences going through the whole acting world, I learned that it's so much out of my control.
Oh, yeah.
That maybe there was a producer that owed a favor to another producer friend, and something that I had gone to a third audition for is like, oh, we just gave it to this other person. God damn, these fucking hiccups are pissing me off.
They quit hiccuping.
We gave it to this other person because they owed this favor to another producer friend, or the subtle racism of it. You're not cholo enough.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, look, I'm Mexican. Like, I can play a cholo if you want me to. That wasn't the role that you brought me in for. So I don't know what you expected. So
do you remember that Key and Peele sketch where they're supposed to be gangsters, and like I think it was Jordan Peele's character. He's like a legit like ex-gangster, but Michael Keegan Peele is like he's like he's British. In the set he's British, but he acts gangster. And then I think it's Tom Hanks' son. He's the director, the producer, and he's like, "Yes, I love it. Can you be more like him? I mean, because this is a gangster type scenario." And then Jordan's character, he's like, "No, like I'm legit. Like I'm a gangster, man. Like,
yeah,
this is where I was from. Like I'm legit a gangster." But Michael Keegan Peele's, or Michael what's his name?
Keegan Michael Peele.
Keegan Michael
No.
Peele.
It's Jordan Peele and Keegan Michael Key.
Keegan Michael Key, yes. And that guy's character, he's like, "Oh, I thought your performance was great. Like you want me to perform more like this?" Yes, okay. So then like he does his like, "Oh yeah, motherfucker," like, "Oh yeah, I'm the motherfucker who's gotta kill you." Anyways, they go through the whole sketch, and the producer or the director goes, "It's like, yes, this is great. Like, but I'm a little concerned with your performance. Like it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel real." And it just reminds me like of what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
like you got people like legit could act like that if you wanted them to, because they're fucking from that set.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard. We saw that. You saw that. It's not that hard to act like that.
Yeah.
To turn the dial more Mexicano, whatever you want to call it. It's not hard to act like that.
Yeah, like this audition that I went on, it was an agent audition. I was trying to get an agent at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the sides that they sent me, the sides are like a portion of a script that they send you to read for an audition.
So are you supposed to read from it like the way they want you to read from it, or just read from it the way you normally read from it?
So
I always wondered about that.
I mean, sides are so they send you a portion of the script. They send you the character breakdown. So like they tell you, okay, this is who this character is, and they'll send you a breakdown like, oh, he's a 30s male. He blah 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 blah. But they'll give you a little short description of the character, and then they give you a scene. Usually it's just one scene, maybe sometimes 2 or 3. 3 is like if they're really considering you. So like usually it's one scene, and they want to see what you can do with that character, what you do with that character.
Oh, what you bring
So
to the audition. Okay.
yeah. So like a lot of times, like you go in and you're meeting with the casting director first. So for like that's the thing. It's like it's not just one audition most of the time. Some for student film, sure, yeah, it'll be one audition. For a network, you audition, you get a callback, you get a network callback, then you get a dress rehearsal or a camera test. So because like there's so many levels that you have to go through. It's like the audition is with a casting director. The casting director tells the director of producers, okay, you should see this guy. So you go to director of producer, and then from there, if it's a network like one of the NBC, CBS, like one of those shows, you have to go to network, and then the network heads have to approve you.
Oh.
And then if you get from there, then you go to the camera test or the chemistry test. So if there's already somebody cast in the other role, like if you're playing a love interest, you go to a chemistry or camera test. So you go on camera, they record it, and you do the scene with that other person. They see if you mesh, if it's believable that you might be the love interest for this person. And so there's so many fucking levels to this shit. Like sometimes it could be 5 fucking auditions before you get a fucking role. It's fucking crazy. Which I mean, I get to a point. But from what I experienced, I ran into so much subtle racism. One, trying to get an agent. Like I went in that meeting I was telling you about. I went into this meeting. They sent me sides for a soap opera. So I did the read, and I studied on this shit. I watched the show. I did everything that I could to fucking prepare for this audition. And I went in. I did the read for this agent, and this is just trying to get an agent. So like you have agent auditions, you have manager auditions, then you have auditions for shows and or movies or whatever. And so they had sent me these sides for a soap opera. And, I had become friends with actors in LA. So I had one of my friends come over and read lines with me to prepare for it and everything. And, I went in, I did the read, and I'm not going to lie. I don't want to brag, but I know the read went well. Like I fucking nailed that shit. And I left the audition. I felt so fucking good about it. And my manager calls me up. She's like, they think you're fucking amazing. They think you're going to book everything. But they don't want to book you right. They don't want to sign you right now because they don't think you have an edge. And she was like, I'm not sure what that means.
An edge.
And I was like, I know exactly what that means.
What does it mean?
It's just like, think about baseball. Whenever an announcer says, oh, and he's talking about a Latino guy. Oh, this guy's fiery, or it's this subtle racism of like this guy.
You're saying like
they were telling me, and I told her, I was like, I know what they mean. They mean that I'm not the cholo that they want to send me out as, because I didn't come into the audition looking like a cholo when they sent me sides for a fucking soap opera, which is. Who's seen a cholo in a soap opera?
Exactly.
Like, if you want me to play that role, send me those fucking sides and I'll play that fucking part. I will. But I don't know what they expected from me. Like, do they want me to come into the audition and hold a knife to their fucking neck? Because I fucking will. If it'll get them to sign me, I will fucking do it. But they expected me to be a fucking cholo because I was Mexican,
Yeah.
and that's what they wanted to send me out as.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like eventually I did get an agent, and it soured because like what my commercial agent at the time, who I was kind of personal friends with, she quit because she hated, because like I signed with them whenever they were with a smaller agency, and then they got my commercial agent and my theatrical agent, because I was signed across the board. They got recruited to a bigger agency, and so they got recruited, and they called me up. They're like, "Hey, we want to bring you along." And I was like, "Hell yeah!" Like, this bigger agency name on my fucking resume is gonna look fucking great. Like, any casting director is like, "Oh yeah, this guy, we need to see him." So they moved over to the bigger agency, and I would stop into the agency to see my agents all the fucking time, like almost on a weekly basis. I would stop in. I lived in the Valley. Their office was in like West Hollywood, so I would drive over, show up, like it. I was trying to play their game. I wanted to show up and make sure they knew, like, hey, I'm here. Send me out.
Yeah.
Like, I need auditions. Like, if I'm not auditioning, you're not making money. I'm not making money. Like, we need to build this relationship. I was trying to build that relationship. So I would stop into the office all the time. And one time I stopped in whenever they moved to the bigger agency. My commercial agent, who I knew more on a personal level, she was kind of the one that helped me get into the agency. So I stopped in one time, and it was this high-rise building. I went up. They were on like the 30th floor. I went up there, and all their windows were glass, so you can see into everybody's office. And I walked in, and I was walking down the hall, and she was in her office just bawling her eyes out. And it made me feel sad, because like I knew her on a personal level, so I was like, oh my god, what is Chrissy going through? Like I knew on our first name basis, like that's how personal I knew her, and like I felt for her. And so I went into my theatrical agent's office, who was one of, like, her and Chrissy, my commercial agent, they were the ones that migrated to the bigger agency. And I went into the theatrical agent's office, and I was like, "What's going on with Chrissy? Why is she crying? Why is she? I just saw her. What's going on?" And she was like, "She just quit because it's too corporate for her, and it got too much for her." And then after that, like after she left, that agency dropped me like a fucking dime.
Wow.
Because like Chrissy was the only one that got to know me personally, and I feel like she was the only reason that I got sent out on anything. But she went on to, like, she's famous now. It's like,
Dude,
if you've ever watched This Is Us, she was on This Is Us.
Yeah, but that shows you what networking is
Yeah.
and how powerful it is to just know people.
Yeah, and that, as much as I hate to say it, that's what a lot of fucking LA was.
And not only that, it's also favors, and it's
Yeah.
you know, I watched that fucking. I started a while ago, and then I fucking finished it because I wanted to know, because it always comes up like on Rogan, like, you know, these politicians that back in the day, like you know, how were they tied to Epstein?
Mm-hmm.
So I fucking finished that fucking documentary, man. And I was like, there's people, man, and I mean, the story in itself, if anyone follows what happened to Epstein, going to jail after years of, being a fucking, a person who took lives away from people. And I'm saying that in a sense of, the girls that he took the lives away from, because it was horrible. It was fucked up what he did. But I'm just saying, how he died, there's tons of conspiracy theories around it. And I sincerely feel, man, like, I'm gonna put this out there, and I mean it's been put out there before. I feel this dude had ties. He had information on other elitist, on other high-ranking politicians, and I mean I think that he would be, or he was willing to just maybe spill the guts, or even the off chance that he would spill one name or information on somebody important.
Yeah.
I don't think that he committed suicide. I really don't. I think that
Yeah.
I honestly think that somebody paid somebody to go in there and fucking choke him out. Because even the guy that was brought in to do the, I guess initially they said that it was a hanging based on what they found. But then they brought in somebody else, like another forensic pathologist, to try to figure out, like, is this right? Did he really do this? Dude, that guy found shit broken in wrong places that you don't do whenever you hang yourself.
Yeah.
He found stuff that, like, when you strangle yourself, everything's gonna be up here. This shit was broken, like, down here. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, somebody fucking choked him out. And, like, I feel like there's people, man, out there that were fucking like, oh yes, finally, like, that guy's not gonna talk.
Yeah.
We're safe. And dude, those dudes or females, whoever you are, kudos to you guys, because that is some crazy shit you guys got away with. Because that fucking island, man, it was it's what you would think in nightmares for kids. It's horrible. And I'm so glad that I was done with that fucking series, because I was getting pissed off. Anyways, but yeah, man, like, it just what you did over there was admirable. I'm not happy or I'm not happy or sad that you left or came back. I'm just happy that you're with me.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm not a big believer in, like, things happen for a reason. Like, I think some things happen for a reason.
I think some things happen for a reason.
I think, everything I experienced out there made me the person I am today. It helped me to help produce this podcast.
Yeah, and there's like you were telling me, and other times, when we talk, like, you want me to talk about my dad, and yeah, maybe we'll get to that point. We'll get to your, there's a stint in California with you too, that was hard. It was rough.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll get to that. And I mean, there's untold stories with a lot of people. Um, Not in the sense that they lived what you or I have lived, but maybe they can relate to some of the stuff that we've talked about. Or I mean, because yeah, we do bullshit a lot. We make fun of a ton of shit,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we
and I don't want anybody that listens to this to think that because I make light of certain situations that they weren't very serious.
yeah
Because I do that. That's my thing. Is like I learned to, you know, I bear the burden for so other people don't,
yeah
and
and
I because I make a joke out of things sometimes because I don't want people to feel uncomfortable in what we're saying
yeah and I
or what
always do.
I'm saying.
I always do that. Like I fucking make. I try to. I
Yeah.
find opportunity. You know me. Like if things are getting too serious or things are getting too deep or things or whatever, like I sometimes make light of some bullshit just to lighten it up.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's appropriate, sometimes it's not. Um, but I mean that's who I am, and uh, yeah, there's stuff that I you don't wanna visit. There's stuff that you don't want to open the door on. Sometimes you're forced to, or sometimes it's you need to open that fucking door. Who
Yeah.
knows? And just you need to fucking open it, and you got to be glad that somebody else is with you, you know, traveling wherever that leads. And I think that's what you've helped me with that. You've more than any. It's crazy. Like I'll say this. I will say this. Like you. um you more than anyone else has brought my dad up more than anybody else. And I'm like, like you want to know. You want to know. And like there's things that I want to say, there's things that I don't want to say, there's things that I I can only I'll say this, like there's some guys like me, like my buddy Leif, my buddy DK, we all lost pops, and you would never know talking to us that ever happened. If we were sober and just talking whatever, you would never know. But it's until something happens and we want to express ourselves that we start talking about it. And I mean, being with those guys, they don't want to talk about it. I know they don't.
Yeah.
You know, uh, they'll talk about it with, I'm hoping, family when they're ready. But I know they haven't let loose. I can see it. I've let loose a little bit, and it feels good. It does feel good. It's a little easier to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's easier to say stuff, to recount memories or whatever. It's weird because I've even fucking rehearsed this and at home, but it's weird whenever you're on the spot and you're asked it. It's I don't know. It's gonna be a different episode, but I'm just glad. I'm glad that you. Yeah. I am glad that you have reached out and you've asked, like, hey, or you've at least set the tone, like, hey, um, we need to talk about this.
Yeah, and I say that to say, not like I want you to talk about it because I feel you do need to talk about it. Like I can sense that from you, but I don't want you to feel obligated to talk about anything you don't want to talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and it is good. It really is good because I mean there's a ton of great memories that I have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a ton of, I don't want to say horrible memories, but there's a ton of memories that I want to hang on to
Mm-hmm.
that weren't as awesome, but they're the reason why I am the way I am.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
Like he, yeah, I don't want to. So this is for future. So
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
Like even if it's beyond this podcast,
Yeah.
I think it's important to just talk.
Mhm.
Like
and that helps. It really does.
Yeah.
It has helped because it has helped me like not just be sad, but also be like happy.
Yeah.
It's helped me
It
be
helps
happy
you
too. Yeah.
to kind of register those emotions.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I learned that. Like, I mean, you know, the stuff I
Mhm.
went through with my dad. Like in a sense, I lost my dad.
Oh yeah.
It
Yeah.
hurt. Like it broke me for a long time.
Mhm.
And being able to express that in certain ways and talking to people, like it helped me deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, and I want that for you. 'Cause
Yeah.
I love you. I
Yeah.
love you, man.
Yeah, I love you too, and I wanna learn to, you know, deal with it, and also I wanna learn, I guess that process because, like I don't know, it's weird. Like he wasn't, I don't know, like he wasn't the kind of person who would prepare you for, like, hey, when I'm gone, you got to do this. If he said something like that, it was almost like a joke.
Yeah.
Anytime he said it, and like with my kids, I don't want to. I don't know. And what's weird is like I say, I'm like I want to be better than, my father was. But with there's certain situations where I'm like I'm acting exactly like my dad was.
Yeah.
Exactly like my dad was. And because I don't know any better. So I do this, right, and I'm fucking like just there, and I'm like, Bella, go fucking just go hang out.
Yeah.
And I can't make myself do it. It's weird. It's like, no, I want to watch this movie or I want to watch this show, and I'm like, go over there and just see what your daughter's doing. Just ask her about school.
Yeah.
And I do that, but not in. I feel like, and then sometimes I'm like, well, shit, I ask her too much, and then she's like, Dad, I already told you. And same thing with Joaquin. Like, he, there's only so much that you can get through with teenagers, like to where like they think you're cool because they don't. They don't think that you're cool. Julian is the only one that thinks that you might be cool on a certain level because he's not old enough to understand.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a teenager yet, so he can still hang out with Dad, or I can still ask him questions, and he might still think I'm cool. But even in certain situations, I'm like, my dad did this. I wanted him to do something else, but I can't do that something else.
Yeah.
I can't go over there and be like, hey, let's get out of here and do something. And it's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Can't break out of that.
Well, we'll dig into that in another episode.
Definitely, yeah.
But I want to say thank you for sharing.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Thank you for the conversation.
Thank you for the conversation, brother.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
I love you.
Love you. And good night.